Dia, this is Ellie. I'm going to be showing you how to properly tie a horse. We always tie a quick release knot with the horses because they can panic. They can do what's called sitting back, which means they put a whole lot of pressure on the halter and lead rope, and they can break things and it can be dangerous. So if we have a way to quickly release that pressure, we actually make it a lot more safe for everyone. So I'll show you. We have the horse end of the rope and we have the tail. So what I'm going to do first, and I'm going to give the horse about 1.5 feet of rope between them and the fence. I'm going to make a loop with the horse end on the top. Here's our horse. This is the horse end on the top. I'm going to reach in, get my tail. This is an important step. I'm going to bring it over everything like that. From here, it's easy. I just want to make little loops, and I want to leave it looking unfinished. See how that looks unfinished? The reason we do that is because that's what makes the quick release knot. We can pull and everything comes free. So I'll redo it again. Loop with the horse end on the top. First loop goes over everything, and then from here, just make little loops. So you might be wondering what happens if you make it look finished. So this looks a lot more finished. Well, what happens is it's not a quick release knot anymore. It's not the right knot. So we want to leave it looking like that. And that's it. Hi, I'm Dia. This is Ellie, and we're going to talk about how to safely saddle the horse. The horse's comfort is absolutely paramount in this step, so we want to be conscientious about it and do it the right way. You can see our horse is properly groomed. We want to make sure that there's no dirt, mud, anything like that that's going to come between our equipment and the horse. So I'm going to feel under there where the cinch goes to make sure everything's absolutely clean. I've already done it on the other side. At this point, we take our pad. This is our saddle pad. The wither relief hole is going to be toward the horse's head because the withers, and I'll show you that. This is the withers right here. That's going to be sticking through that notch in the pad. So we're always going to put our pad up beyond where it should go, and then we're going to slide it in place because we want the hair to lay flat under the saddle. And our withers are poking through the hole, so that's a good spot. We like using the pads. We use the pads because it's good cushioning. It's like having a good comfy pair of socks under your boots. Okay. Also too, notice I'm not flipping around too much. Like I'm not going to hit her with a pad or anything like that. I'm being thoughtful and gentle in my action. So now I'm going to put the saddle on. Sometimes people like to put everything over to the side. You can do that. I normally don't, but I'll show you for demonstration. We swing it behind. This particular saddle is really light. Normally our saddles weigh about 25 pounds to 29 pounds. This one's only about 15. So it's a lot to sling, especially on a tall horse like this. So I'm going to bring the saddle back and up and lift. Okay? So notice I didn't catch my stirrup or anything under the saddle. If you do, that's no big deal. Just walk around and fix it. The horse will typically stand for it. So I'm going to go around the other side first, walking at least 5 feet behind, and I'm going to undo my cinch in the keeper. Also too, be mindful when the saddle is unsecured, do not walk away and do anything else because that saddle could slip, the horse could step on it, scare themselves, break the saddle, and possibly hurt someone in the process. So we want to be conscientious. Okay, so I took my I took my cinch out of the keeper. I'm going to let that hang down. Now I'm going to walk back around to the other side. We do a lot of walking back and forth. We do a lot of things on the left of the horse because that goes back to cavalry days when soldiers had a sword down one leg, and it just made more sense to throw our right leg over to mount and dismount. So this is gone. This tradition's been thousands of years. We call the left side the near side, and then the right side is the off side. Okay. So you'll see I'm getting ready to do our trail knot on this side. I need to undo the latigo here, so I'm going to start undoing the trail knot and just pull, and then that's free. Okay, I'm going to reach under, and I've made sure again that it's not dirty under there. So I'm going to make my trail knot, and no doubt this kind of thing takes practice. So don't feel like you've got to get this perfect on the first try. We have lots of people who can show you how to do it properly. Oh, also too, I wanted to talk a little bit about saddle placement. When you put the saddle on, you want to feel, this is the horse's scapula, the shoulder blade right here. And when we put the saddle on, we want the scapula to be in front of this screw on the saddle. So normally it's going to be somewhere between there and this concha right here. So that's really important because you want the horse's leg to be able to move forward and have full range of motion. We don't want to have it pinchy, because at this point, this is where the inner workings of the saddle called the tree begin, and the tree is typically not flexible. So if we, put something that could be tight, non-flexible against that moving bone, that could be uncomfortable. So I want to have it there with the scapula. Also, I want to test and make sure there's not a lot of rock when I do this, and see, that's pretty stable. And also I want to take a step back and make sure my saddle's not really heading uphill or downhill. Now, every particular horse is going to have their spot where the saddle fits, so we want to be mindful of that. Also, I look back here and I see that I can feel the horse's spine here, which lines up to the notch in the back of the saddle pad, and that lines up to the middle of the saddle. I check that over and over, but it's very important. Okay, so back to my trail knot. I'm going to make a couple of wraps with this latigo. And sometimes you don't have enough latigo to make a couple wraps, and that's fine too. Also, I don't want to tighten this. I never want to tighten this as tight as I can, because that's going to be uncomfortable. If I'm just now saddling the horse, I want to get it to where it's tight enough that the saddle doesn't slip, but not a lot tighter than that. So I'm going to be about right here. Now I'm going to begin my trail knot. I'm going to come through on the left side of the rigging. I'm going to come into it from the right side, and then I'm going to come down. Okay? That's how we do the trail knot. Now, if I want to tighten it, it's pretty easy. All I have to do is create some slack here, push up and down. So that's pretty convenient. I want to make sure too that the cinch is not crowding the horse's elbow, because again, that's talking about range of motion. I always tell people when people want to make this so really tight, it's kind of like, imagine somebody having a belt across your rib cage and tightening it as much as you possibly could right from the get-go. So that's not going to be very conscientious for the horse and the horse's welfare. So I just make it, especially originally when I first put the saddle on, just so the saddle doesn't slip. And then later on, when the rider gets on, I'll make sure that I can't fit much more than 2 fingers into these wraps. but for practical purposes and you all to saddle the horse, that's how I want it to look. All right, thank you. Hi, I'm Dia, this is Ellie, and I want to show you about how we properly unsaddle a horse. The first thing we're going to do, you'll notice our horse is tied up with a quick release knot. We could possibly have a person also holding her as well. The first thing we're going to do is undo our trail knot. We might have a couple of wraps of the latigo. This strap is called the latigo. I'm going to grasp the strap somewhere here in the middle, bring it through the ring, and create bunny ears. Okay, here's my bunny ears. And then I'm going to do the trail knot again to tidy up the latigo. Okay, the reason we do it this way is because we can undo the trail knot and pull, and we're ready to ride again. So again, I bring it through, make 2 bunny ears, and continue my trail knot. Okay. At this point, we're going to walk around to the other side, walking at least 5 feet behind the horse, because you have some work to do over here. We're going to take our cinch and we're going to put it in the keeper. This is the keeper on this side. Okay, so we're secure at this point. Sometimes people like to take the cinch and put it over the horn, or the stirrup over the horn, or both. I typically don't do that. Okay, now also to bear in mind, we would never walk away from the horse while these things are unsecured, because they could fall, it could scare the horse, someone could get injured, and it could break our saddle too. So once that's not usable, then that would be an awful thing. So we never walk away with these things unsecured. So I'm going to go back around to the other side, at least 5 feet behind. And notice too, we always take the saddle off and on from the horse's left side. So this is her left side. I'm going to grasp both things and I'm going to pull. And I'm going to be as gentle with the horse as I can and keep my movements subtle. So I'm not going to be throwing things around too awful much. So I'm going to try and set this over the fence as gently as I can. We also want to make sure when we put the saddle on the fence, it's always away from the horse, because horses are very curious and they will want to knock that off and do heaven knows what to it. So, and then when we go to put it back, we're going to have the saddle on the rack, and we're going to have the pad. Sorry, let me fix this. And we're going to have the pad on top and upside down, with the horn poking through the wither relief hole on the pad. So it's going to basically look like this when it goes back in the tack room. Okay, that's it. On to the next thing.